Vidyadan Foundation for Education, in collaboration with Society for Integrated Development of Himalayas, organized a seminar on Indian perspectives of education from 20th to 23rd September 2012.
And all the wonderful speakers who really watered my heart, I so to say, since I've come here. Thank you for all the words of wisdom that I've heard till now. It really has been truly amazing. I was asked to speak about Sri Aurobindo's perspective on higher education. I belong to a center called the Gnostic Center in Delhi. And there is also, the Gnostic Center is largely a center for growth of consciousness. We are a group of professionals who are trying to bring in the principles of integral education, which I might share with you. And working with students in schools, in colleges, also holding a lot of intensives in different disciplines of knowledge, including psychology, sociology, management, many different kinds of disciplines. And we have also recently started a new venture where we're also trying to see whether the same principles can also be applied within higher education. We've prepared a small film which somewhere I think encapsulates very well the founding base of this particular endeavor, and I would like to begin with that and then maybe also comment on the kinds of things that we're doing at the center.
The Academy of the Future. Our present times. A Citibank manager gets caught in a fraud net of 300 crores. A medical doctor is held for raping his colleague. A college professor jumps to death. An MBA student hangs himself. Are these one-off incidents, or have they become a regular part of our lives? The question arises, why are professionals doing this? Why are educated people giving in to their base instincts and functioning from their lowest consciousness? Is this what our education and society have created? At best, education today has produced very sophisticated, highly intelligent beings. It has refined our mental capacities, our ability to utilize and work the system, but it has ignored the refinement of character and nature. Therefore, we see the myriad examples of dysfunctionality and hollowness in everyday life. Society today reflects this bankruptcy of the spirit. The near total neglect of fostering the inner being has resulted in the individual and social fiascos that we see every day. It seems imperative that education also starts strengthening the inner being by elevating the consciousness of the individual and society, besides imparting information and skills. An integral, holistic and complete education is one way to create a saner, nobler and harmonious society. The aspiration. If I could be the vastness I am not, if I could see what human sight cannot, if I could live each moment like a god and not crawl and succumb to human smallnesses, if I could sit and see with open eyes the quiet, burning core of things, could I not live my life, keeping my eye on infinity? Each of us has an urge to self-exceed. It is only when this inner urge to exceed and to excel is nurtured that the refinement of character and completeness of human personality comes forth naturally and spontaneously, without coercion or moral do's and don'ts or outer facades. We see today that existing educational systems and curricula no longer meet the aspirations of society. Youth today are seeking alternative modes of learning, alternative lifestyles, multifaceted professions, and multidimensional roles. There is an aspiration in youth to shift from the egocentric pursuit of success, career, and money towards vocations that also satisfy the well-being of their higher self and service to society. There is a movement towards nurturing the earth, preserving nature, and understanding that both animate and inanimate have consciousness, are connected, and impact us. The Academy of the Future, a prototype of a new educational system. A time will come when the existing political, social, and economic systems will no longer be valid. A time will come when new structures would need to be created that are holistic, global, and interlinked. New findings in the areas of social and scientific research will lead to new possibilities. Experimentation in every field of life would impact education. New structures, a new curriculum, and a new kind of teacher facilitator would be required. To meet these demands, an Academy of the Future needs to be created. The Academy would be like a modern Gurukul, a place of lifelong learning and education, where the curriculum would equip students for solving real-time problems in society. The Academy will have studios and laboratories for research in new fields of knowledge. Programs would include project-based experiential learning and methods of contemplation and meditation. New faculties of reception and perception would be developed to harness the higher faculties of the mind. These would be at the service of finding solutions to the various problems of society, such as poverty, ignorance, corruption, exploitation, conflicts, etc. The boundaries of contemporary disciplines of knowledge, culture, and science would be redefined through a consciousness approach. A small beginning in this direction has been made by the Gnostic Center. By designing and offering innovative courses such as Aspirations towards a new creation of the self and society. This course invokes the hitherto unused powers in higher education of aspiration, imagination, will, and faith to bring into manifestation something of the future, not as an intellectual thought, but as a living practice impacting one's everyday reality. The modes of society and its transformation are explored through various themes. Examples of other courses are Psychology, a science of consciousness, integral education from reflection to action, Sanskrit language and linguistics, an evolutionary perspective on the Vedas, Upanishads and Vedantic metaphysics and psychology, connecting inner power with global change. Such courses transcend time and space, with students from all over the world meeting online and on-site, generating a rich diversity of culture and knowledge. The pedagogy involves the time-tested Vedantic trilogy of Shravana, gathering and reflection, Manana, fixed contemplation, and Nididhyasana, the absorbed dwelling of the mental consciousness on its object. The curriculum is integral, encompassing all the 5 parts of the being: mental, vital, physical, psychic, and spiritual. The aim is to encourage the thirst for the marvelous, while at the same time encouraging the perception of the world as it is, correct and sincere observation, and a most practical and meticulous feeling for exactness in details. The evolutionary continuum. Yoga must be revealed to mankind, because without it, mankind cannot take the next step in human evolution. What is the next step in human evolution? Could the next step be the growth of a new consciousness based on fraternity and oneness, rather than the present consciousness of division, competition and strife? If one were to read some of our foremost thinkers, starting from Sri Aurobindo, Teilhard de Chardin, Rudolf Steiner, Rabindranath Tagore, Fritjof Capra, Ken Wilber, Peter Senge, the next step of human evolution certainly is one that explores higher and deeper levels of consciousness and faculties, and goes beyond the mere intellectual mind. The frontiers of knowledge have changed. New faculties are being developed. New realities need to be created. It is acknowledged that matter is not just energy. It is conscious energy or consciousness. Mind and matter are one. Education needs to equip students to engage with this reality effectively. The prototype of an academy of the future will address this need of an ever unfolding evolutionary continuum.
This in brief is what we are attempting to do. It's a vision. We've made small, humble beginnings towards it. Mother says that the whole task of integral growth is an adventure. She says it's an adventure of consciousness. She says there's no path to it. There's no set path to it. It's something that needs to be discovered. It's like a walk through a virgin forest. And the path is something that needs to be found by the person who's walking it. And this path can also be truly found only when we also collaborate. We are free collaborators with the divine within us. So the relation of divine, as a human is a very, very close relationship, and it's a relationship founded on the soul. Therefore, when we talk about an academy of the future, we also there's no fixed curriculum that we can talk about. We can only refer to the curriculum of the soul, because each soul has its own curriculum, so to say. And there has been talk in earlier sessions about the inner Veda, invocation of the inner Veda, the Veda that lives within us, the light that can speak to us from within us. And it is an adventure, because we are talking about creating a new society, we are talking about creating a new future. So while we are children of the past, we are also children of the future dawns. And though that is what we are attempting to create. And if you also look at some of the courses that were listed here, we've attempted in our courses to bring in that element of new creation. Some of these aspects are never referred to or even considered worthy of any consideration in university systems. For example, the practice of will, faith, imagination, the role of aspiration, the role of grace. None of these things, people think it's something that is personal to a person, and should be left at home, not brought into education. Whereas the whole task of education is to become much more conscious, become much more integrated. The task is also to develop the powers of the mind, the emotions, the physical, but also go beyond that and tap all that richness that lies within us, the psychic and the spiritual. And once we are in touch with that, also use that presence to perfect the instruments even much more further. So task of integral education is not to reject life, but to accept it in all its complexity, all its ugliness also. And the main mantra, there's only one mantra, and that is practice, practice, practice. Because we generally feel that, even I'm trained in psychology as a field of discipline. And it's often said, nature cannot be changed. Either you're affected by, nature or the genetic component, or you're pulled down, affected by the environment, the influences that are coming in from outside. This is a very surface view of things. Nature can be changed. Human nature can be changed. And it's a deeply humbling process to also witness anybody who takes that one step of courage to say that this particular thing is not right within me, and attempts to put it right. As a teacher, or even as a person who's undergoing that same process, I think it's a deeply humbling experience, and it's something that that's almost magical, because the moment we are free of something, we know that we've left. There's something, some kind of an integration, some kind of as though we've retained a part of calm within us, and we are progressively making our beings much more calm, much more integrated, much more harmonized, much more unified in its nature. And that is the aim of the courses that we have. Also, there's a realization, unlike the mainstream the university systems, that such kind of an education also would need different kinds of facilitators. Because till now, we are used to a kind of an education, even what I received in when I was in the university system, is a kind of education that gives you a lot of intellectual pretensions. It gives you a lot of knowledge. It gives you, you have a lot of, readings from different disciplines, and you're trying to integrate them. But they're pretensions, because they stop your growth, because there's no practice in it. So it's very humbling to even know that, you may have a great intellect, and yet there can be parts of your nature that can be completely unrefined, and some things that don't really move, with your own aspiration in some sense, because you're not an integrated being. And I think our future education needs to be like that. It needs to be much more integrated. And we need to find ways of doing that within our own system, as multimedia also showed, of Even the material that we are providing, the quality of material, it's not the volume of material that you provide, it's the quality of material that you provide. It may be just a simple paragraph, but how much do you contemplate on it? How much concentration do you put on it? Can you pierce the meaning of that one paragraph with deep concentration? I think that is the kind of ethos that we need to develop. Because right now we're just getting inundated with more and more and more information, in the name of knowledge. But it is not really information because it is not lived. It is not something that is truly something that we have used in life or even found that it has some meaning for even giving some real solutions to the kinds of problems that we have in life. So the question of, I think many people have spoken of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana as practices that one can do, and also the importance of silence, action and silence, static energy and dynamic energy, both combined together. So the capacity to be quiet and the capacity to work from that quietness, how to also dynamize it. These are some of the things that we need to retain, the being and the becoming, both together in one, the stability and the dance, both together in one, the changing and the changeless. So that everywhere we go, we retain that point of quietness within us. And we have attempted to build it into our courses, the kind of pedagogy that we have. One thing which Shalawai said, that the first principle of teaching, which is nothing can be taught. I think it's a radical statement. Nothing can be taught because all that needs to be known is already there within us. And as facilitators, I think it's a tremendous step when we step back from the task of teaching, when we don't think we have to teach. I think it's one of the biggest kinds of deconditionings that we have to do, that I am a teacher. And in practice, it's very, very difficult because you tend to teach. You tend to say as though you know and the other person does not know. In practice, it is very, very difficult to practice this one maxim, which is nothing can be taught, which means that at best you can be a co-traveler, with a person who's learning, and also learn from that person. And of course, wherever we need help from each other, we can get help from each other. But essentially, the poise is of the co-traveler. So these are the kinds of things we are practicing. And there's something that Sri Aurobindo says, a sentence. He says, one man's perfection can still save the world. Which also means that the smallest weakness I conquer within my own self, I'm doing it not just for me as an individual, I'm doing it for the universal consciousness, which means that if I overcome it within myself, something also gets overcome in the universal consciousness. So it has truly a tonic effect, a reverberating effect on the whole world consciousness, so to say. And there are very few of us as yet, who are really wanting to, consolidate our energies in this direction. And I would really invite you, to become a part of this effort, if possible, and collaborate with us. Thank you.